Fists flew and now charges are mounting against a Lamesa store owner. What we're learning about his previous run-ins with the law.
The man convicted of murdering a Fallbrook family is given the death penalty. What Charles Merritt had to say before a judge handed down his sentence.
Plus, a vacation rental in the college area, instead a drug den. The homeowner's discovery and how the squatters may have known the house was vacant. We are learning more about the Lamesa shop owner arrested and charged after video showed him getting violent with news crews yesterday.
Peter Karzis was confronted by local reporters and photographers who were asking questions about crime allegations involving him. Our 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala joins us live on this story, and maybe he's got a record, but some say they just can't believe the video.
Yeah, Steve, Kimberly, some of the business owners from the stores right next door to Peter's Men's Apparel here on Lamesa Boulevard tell us that this is all very shocking to them. This is not the Peter that they know. They've actually never had a problem with him before, but court records reveal he's been accused of harassment before, and now he's facing several new charges from the incidents over the last several days. Peter Karzis growing frustrated outside of his store Monday afternoon, lashing out as he was confronted by local news crews following up on allegations of a couple of misdemeanors he was accused of over the weekend: a lewd act in public and battery. Tuesday morning, he was arrested, now facing charges of misdemeanor battery and felony vandalism for the incident involving the media.
Obviously, he wasn't thinking. It just makes me sad. It breaks my heart.
Deanne Ross owns Act 2, the business next door to Karzis. She says she personally has never had any issues with him, and the recent behavior has been surprising. It's not the man she knows.
He was a nice man to me and to many people, but then I also knew there was another side to him.
And court records reveal that Karzis has been in trouble before: a couple of DUI charges from 2013 and 2 civil filings from 2013 and 2015, claims of harassment and requests for restraining orders from a former neighbor and a friend renting a room from Karzis. Both said they were scared of him and his anger. They also heard from people who say they were treated poorly by him while shopping in his store.
He pinched my stomach, grabbed my stomach and said, "You need to lose weight."
Melanie Stowe reported that incident but says there were never any charges brought against Karzis. Other business owners on Lamesa Boulevard, though, told us off camera that they've never had any issues with him over the last several years, and they worry he needs help. As for Ross, she hopes the recent incidents don't scare people away from Lamesa Boulevard.
We have so many wonderful stores, so many wonderful places people can eat and shop, and I hope it doesn't deter other people from coming here, because one bad seed isn't the whole village.
Now, Lamesa police tell me that Karzis is under arrest, but he is not yet in jail because he has not been medically cleared. We're live in Lamesa. Mimi Alcala, 10 News.
Charles Merritt has been sentenced to death. A jury convicted Merritt of killing the McStay family from Fallbrook and burying their bodies in the Mojave Desert. Relatives say that they have been waiting nearly a decade for today. Before sentencing, Merritt maintained that he did not kill the McStays.
I would never raise my hand to a woman or child. I did not do this thing. I know you do not believe this. And that kills me.
Chase, you are a low-life coward and a baby killer, and labeled that. Just a monster.
Merritt has vowed to appeal, saying that he didn't get a fair trial, blaming everyone from the prosecutors to the McStay family. Because he was sentenced to death, his case will get an automatic appeal.
For just the third time in U.S. history, an impeachment trial of the president is underway in the Senate.
The Senate will convene as a court of impeachment.
Chief Justice John Roberts opened proceedings and both sides began debating the rules for the trial. Here are the rules so far. Each side will get 24 hours over a 3-day period for opening statements. That will be followed by up to 16 hours of questions from senators. Lastly, evidence collected by the House impeachment inquiry is automatically entered into the record. Meantime, each amendment so far introduced by Senator Chuck Schumer has failed along party lines.
All right, your voice, your vote. We are just 6 weeks away from the March primary, and we are getting a very clear idea of how the mayor's race might play out. According to our 10 News Union Tribune scientific poll, 29% of San Diegans would vote for Assemblyman Todd Gloria if the primary were held today. 18% said they would vote for City Councilman Scott Sherman, and 13% said they would vote for Councilman Barbara Bree. But a whopping 32% of voters say that they are still undecided. So we are joined now by Stephen Goggin, a political scientist from San Diego State. We're looking at the numbers. Top two go on to the November primary. It looks like Gloria's going to go there, but 32% undecided. This thing's wide open.
Absolutely. For either Scott Sherman or for Barbara Bree, either one could pretty easily step in and make it to the November ballot, particularly given the competitiveness of the Democratic presidential primary happening too. A number of Democrats, right, will likely turn out on this March 3rd primary, and depending on exactly how it plays out, it could push Barbara Bree over the top over Scott Sherman, but who knows?
Well, we also polled voters on Measure C, which would increase San Diego's hotel tax by as much as 5% in some areas. And that money would be used to expand the convention center. It would pay for homeless programs, among other things. Right now, a majority, 51%, say they would vote for it, 27% would not, and nearly 22% are undecided. But this measure needs at least 2/3 majority to pass. So opponents say that this could bite tourism, and others say that it's time we get it done. How do you analyze this, and maybe it may happen this time?
Right. It looks pretty close, right? So about 50% supported, as you noted, needs to pass the 2/3 threshold, though. And with about only 20% or so undecided, right, you need probably 3/4 of those to vote for it at the end of the day. And so if it does pass, it'll be very, very close. But, you know, it would have to be a pretty strong break in the next few weeks for people to vote for it in order to pass.
You talked about this in the mayoral race, with this being a presidential primary. Turnout is usually higher. How does that affect Measure C with the number of people coming out?
Well, given that Democrats are more in favor of Measure C in this poll than Republicans, it's likely to help it. Whether it'll help it enough such that it can clear the 2/3 threshold, it would be a pretty high bar to clear that.
All right, Stephen Goggin, we appreciate your analysis, and we will stay in touch between now and the election.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And work is now underway on an affordable housing tower in downtown San Diego. Father Joe's Village broke ground on the development near 14th and Commercial today. It will eventually be 14 stories with nearly 500 units. Developers say if the apartments open today, it would go for $600 to $1,200 for 1 and 2 bedrooms. And that will likely change before the project is finished over the next 2 years.
A man serving a life sentence for brutally murdering his mother was just denied an appeal to overturn his conviction. A jury found Joseph Burks guilty in 2018 for stabbing his mother more than 20 times in her head and neck. The attack happened in their Claremont home in 2017. Angela Burks was a science teacher at Otay Ranch High School in Chula Vista. Burks appealed his conviction based on a change in state law, arguing he should instead be placed in a mental health diversion program.
San Diego police are investigating what they're calling a suspicious death at a high-rise in East Village. Detectives say a man's body was found inside a unit Vantage Point Apartments at 9th yesterday. A security guard and a friend of the man found the body when they went to check on him. Investigators say the man's body did show signs of trauma. Now the medical examiner is performing an autopsy to figure out how he died.
Call it serendipity. An Imperial Beach man normally on the links in the morning was instead in position to save his neighbor and her newborn. Ed Harris normally teaches golf, but told us that he came home early today because of the rain and soaked the golf course. As soon as he pulled up, he spotted his neighbor's garage on fire, tried to put it out with a garden hose, but the fire spread to the house instead. So he banged on the front door, warning the woman inside. She got out safely with her baby.
The timing was, I think, the most miraculous thing because, 5 minutes later that house would have been gone.
The woman's husband was not home at the time. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. It's not clear what started the fire.
When 2 blocks of Front Street in downtown San Diego will close for more than a year starting this weekend. Construction will begin Saturday on a project at the federal office building, and that will shut down Front between Broadway and F. Detours will be set up for drivers and pedestrians. The construction will bolster the underpass in the area. The closure is expected to last until June of next year.